some, get some, bad enough, take some.
Are we going? Yeah. Oh, shit, damn. All right, well, welcome back. All right, we made it. I made it, and apparently you made it because you're here watching the episode 2 of FANGIN and Bang with Gangrel. That's me, Gangrel. I'm hanging here with myself. We're going to do a little thing. My head, my chest, my two shoulders hurt. My head, my chest, my two shoulders hurt. All right, so I guess we're ready to go. So let me grab this to the side. I quickly want to say thank you to a lot of the people that tuned in. Let me see if I can use my good eye here. And, oh, man, now my phone locked up now. Got to put passcodes in, stuff like that. So bear with me here. Got the easiest passcodes in the world. Well, I should know these. I should know these right away. Like Yesenia. I want to say thank you, Miss Yesenia, and I hope you're doing well in Texas for supporting that live feed. Jason Tucker. And I got to get this on the play here so I can read through these comments, and it's playing. Well, it's not. I'm not able to read it so well, so quick, but I know Maria and Tony. I want to say thank you. Just to everybody. It's just some of you there. Of course, Susan, my lovely girl, that's always supporter. She's on there. My mano derecha, Ana Diaz. And I expect these comments to come up quicker, but I was going to comment on everything. But I guess I should have did my homework. It was mostly my stuff here. But, that's just a quick thank you to some of the people that were on that live feed. There was a lot more of you, and I do appreciate it. So, and we'll get through that. So, what'd you think? No, you can't answer me. I'm asking you questions you can't answer, but, we're going to go today. So what happened between some of the things that have gone on in my life since I seen you last? We ran a show on Cluiston, which I had to close out a chapter with the GWA, which is, that's another episode for another day. It's a really long story. It's a sad story, but it's also probably everything happens for a reason kind of story, but I'm not going to get into that. But we ran a show on Cluiston. Magic City stepped up. We came in there. We went up there, ran the show. So that went great. I want to say thank you to all the people in Cluiston. And it was actually at a church. I want to say thank you to Pastor Mark and all that for going off. So it was a great experience. It could have been disastrous because there was so many online sales and stuff like that. So half the building was in there on... half the building was in there. Technically, they paid, but they paid another company, so they come up with payroll. But it still went well. The show was a success. Everybody got an envelope. Everybody was smiling. And I want to say thank you to all the talent. I want to say thank you to Magic City. And thank you to the students for Magic City and formerly of Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum, who all stepped up and made that show a success. And thank you to the town of Cluiston for having us. Simply Wild, Gator John, and Sasha. And they had tigers out there. Can you believe they actually had tigers out there? There was tigers, like a 17-foot python. It wasn't a petting zoo. It was a viewing type of thing. But all I kept thinking about was that crazy Netflix thing called the Tiger King. You all see that? Where a girl got her arm ripped off. They go, yeah, you could pet the tiger's tail. I said, I ain't put my hand in there petting that tiger's tail. That's insane. But, with all that being said, thank you to Simply Wild and everybody that got that organized. Pastor Marr, the church Cluiston, the town of Cluiston. Thank you very much. So that's what's going on there with that, and we're moving forward. So, I'm rambling. I could tell you, I was nervous the first time coming on to do this, but I'm even a little bit more nervous this time because it feels like you're supposed to improve and progress with stuff. And then I'm sitting here before he said go. He just go. He doesn't even he just says go. He doesn't say okay, we're getting ready to start. He just throws his headphones. Raymond over here, Raymond, my dude, the producer there, Static Vision Studios. He just says go. Like, go what? Go where? Go do what? He says, no, go. Get on here and talk. So I'm trying to dial this in. So thank you for being patient and tuning in. So apparently he tells me that I got to keep current with wrestling and watch the current product. And it's not that I don't have it recorded or what's that stuff you young bloods call that, a DVR? Is that what it's called? DVR? I used to have to use the old tape recorders. That's how old I am, where we had to put the VHS tape in. But I have it DVR'd, and I tried to watch some of it and catch up on it. And it's not that I don't want to. It's just that, my life is crazy, and now he's asking me to give another hour and a half a week in here, and or two total probably with all the process setting up and everything. And not that I don't want to. I do want to. It's just trying to make time with everything because I'm always grinding. I live by what I say. Want some, get some, bad enough, take some. Either all in or you're all out. It's not just an attitude. It's a lifestyle. Can't stop, won't stop. 24/7, fanging and banging. So with that being said, before I came over, I tried to take a look at the last Dynamite. And I got up to the Miro and the Dark Order match, which very proud of Miro. Of course, I had a big part of training him out in Knox Pro in California with Rikishi and stuff like that. So I get a little confused. I'm not I get confused. I don't know what's happened in wrestling because I was traditionally like, there's a good guy, a bad guy. And I don't want to say this, but sometimes they refer to it in England as cowboys and Indians. I don't know why they always want to make the Indians bad, but now it's Native Americans. So, so you can't want to say cowboys and Indians, but basically, you know, the heel or babyface. And I had a hard time telling that, but I was super proud of Miro because I could see how his basics and how he still has his foundation. And the foundation really carried and showed in that match. So, like, you know, Miro, good job there, dude, and I'm super proud of you being the TNT champion, and I'm proud every time I see you. I was a little worried at first, the best friend, the best man thing, the best man and video games and all that, but hey, man, you're on your journey, and it looks like you got a pretty good destination set. So super happy for you, super proud of you. And what else did I see? I think the show started out with old Christian Cage, you know, Christian, my old partner from the Brood, and Matt Hardy from the New Brood. So we had a part of the Brood, and then we had a part of the New Brood, and I guess they have some kind of angle, and they're working with each other, which was super cool to see that they're both very still active. Christian looked great. The things he was doing, you know, he did things within his realm. You know, I want to tell him that, you know, he needs to go watch. I don't know if they covered that on the dark side of the ring, which I'm going to want to start bringing you the sunny side of things. So they're going to. There's the dark sides. I want to bring the sunny side, but you know, the back issues that could come from. Like that diving headbutt. I seen him do a diving headbutt, and I was like, oh wow, you know, that flashbacks to like Dynamite Kid and you know, Chris Benoit and stuff. But both of them had you know back issues from that. You know, when you drop that headbutt, you get that you come down on an angle. So like here's me. He's the stomp me, right? So you're on the top rope. You're here. You come down. You know, a lot of times if you get that impact, you get a little bend in that lower back like that. But kudos to Christian because I seen him land very evenly. But so super cool to see him and Matt Hardy doing their thing and still currently active in today's wrestling, pro wrestling entertainment or wrestling. I like to still call it pro wrestling. So I'm pro wrestling. So that was cool. So speaking of the Broods, a lot of people ask, and no, this is not the Pandora box. We'll get the Pandora box later. But a lot of people ask, you know, about the Brood and how the Brood came along. Well, if you remember in the last episode, as I rambled quickly through a lot of things. I touched base on the baloney blowout with Luna when we watched the movie The Lost Boys. So the Brood, for myself, comes from the movie The Lost Boys. It was a group of vampires. So when I was pitching my character, like which became the Gangrel character, which was the vampire warrior at the time, but I was just pitching, I was always pitching a group of vampires, not myself, because I was a big Freebirds fan, right? I loved the Freebirds. Thought they were the best thing in the world, you know. The six man, you know, any given time they could rotate who's in and out defending, when they were tag champions, defending the belts and stuff like that. Now, don't get me confused with the trios. I think the trios are entertaining, but I like a good old-fashioned faction like the Freebirds and stuff. So I was always pitching that. But, you know, they didn't want WWF at the time. You know, Vince McMahon himself told me he would never use the vampire character. He says, I had the fangs permanently bonded in. After all the years of Superglow, I think it went to my head that I just said, oh, well, I'll just get fangs bonded in. So I had the fangs permanently bonded in. And I don't think Vince McMahon was a big fan of that. You know, he goes, hey, kid, I had a little mohawk going on, a skullet or whatever you want to call it, a mohawk and actual fangs bonded in. He goes, get rid of the fangs. Lose some weight, grow your hair in, man, and we'll give you a job. And true to that, he did. I dropped 30, 40 pounds, got some abs, grew my hair in, got rid of the fangs, and I did end up with a job eventually. And we'll cover that in other stories in future times. But the whole time, I was pitching not myself, the vampire thing. I was pitching like the Brood thing. Well, when they hired me, like I said, Vince McMahon said he would never use the vampire thing. Well, Vince Russo had creative control. I'm not sure of the exact details, but after they hired me, they told me, like I was in All Japan on a tour, working for All Japan, and Johnny Ace came to me and he says, hey, I got good news and good news, but the bad news is I'm going to need to answer now. And I go, what's that? He goes, Mr. Baba, they want to offer you a year deal here for All Japan, and WWF says you got a contract waiting on you when you get home. But WWF has to know now, you got to tell Mr. Baba. So I had like a week to make that decision, you know. And then going back and forth with Luna and different things, we all know where I went. I ended up going to WWF at the time, which is now WWE. So we get there. So I signed. I come home. There was actually no contract. It was a bit of a swerve there. And then it was. Turns out when they did offer the contract, they were trying to offer developmental at the time. And I was like, I'm confused. I could have went to All Japan. Long story short, I ended up signing it. They tell me when I do it. Then they said, hey, we're not gonna use you probably for like a year. So you're probably just gonna sit home and just chill. I was heartbroken. I didn't want to sign a contract to wrestle, to sit home and not wrestle. So I was heartbroken, just like anybody would that's a performer. You want to get out there and do what you love. I still get to do it every weekend. I'm super blessed. So I was heartbroken then, and feeling like when you're just peaking at what probably was, I was 29 or something like that. So right at my prime, you're peaking. At least I thought I was in my head. I was like, what? I was crushed. But that only lasted a week. Turns out Vince Russo, I don't know what the exact details are, but I'm pretty sure he got creative control for like 30 days. So it was a Friday, and he asked me, hey, he called me up. He says, what are you doing? I go, I just got back from the gym or whatever it was. It was a Friday afternoon. He goes, hey, can you still do the vampire thing? I go, sure. He goes, can you be ready, be on a flight Saturday to do TV on a Sunday? I was like, so I had this a panic mode. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's cool because I always wanted to do the vampire thing, but yeah, I got rid of the fangs that were permanent, and I didn't want to have to go back to super gluing the nails back in them out because I'm pretty sure that super glue has done some damage, and I am the way I am because of that super glue, which like it or not, but that's who I am. But I panicked, so I said, sure. And I ran right out, much like when I explained to you earlier how the vampire character happened for Lestat in Puerto Rico, where I ran out and got organized. So first stop was Hot Topics. So I run out and I get I find the Puffy Poet shirt, and then I think I stopped at Journey's next and bought a pair of New Rocks. So I got the New Rocks, and then also on Hot Topics I got those suede black, purple, maroon pants that you would see. So there you go, right out of Hot Topics, right from your local mall to WWF ring it was, and then I just got some fangs that were pretty much like costume. They were not cheap like dime store fangs, but they weren't by no means quality fangs. So they were prop like type of things. So I pulled all that together and I get it there and we go. Well, so I get there. It turns out the reason Vince Russo rushed this whole what turned out to be Gangrel thing is because of Edge. They didn't know what to do with Edge. They needed some way to bring him in. In their minds, he looked gothic. They wanted him to do, I think they wanted him to do something kind of like, you remember when Heidenreich used to sit on top of the Titantron and read poems? I think they wanted to call Edge Riot, and they wanted him to read like dark poetry up there, like Edgar Allan Poe or something, on top of like things and his long coats. And he was smart enough, I think, to decline that. So they didn't know what to do, but then they had this idea like they could shuttle him in through me. And then like my number one job, and I was told this, was to bring him in, look over him, get everybody to like him. Because I've been wrestling since 1987, so I did a lot of overseas tours and stuff like that. So like I knew a lot of the older guys, plus being with Luna for all those years. She was second generation, her father was Butcher Vachon, her uncle was Mad Dog, her aunt was Vivian, so she came from a wrestling family. They ran a TV show, a wrestling TV program in Canada. So like I knew everybody through her one way or another, It was a very small world in the wrestling world for me because of her, and plus also doing all the overseas tours and stuff like that. So I was there. They wanted that Gangrel thing for Edge. But my first thoughts go back to the Lost Boys. Like, I kept saying, hey, it'd be really cool if you had a group of vampires. I said, they don't have to win. They just got to have, like, cool jackets with chains, and they just go out there. They could lose every night as long as they're cool at losing, And so I'm picturing the Lost Boys the whole time, and I'm like this, which became the Brood, right? It was the Brood, and they're like, oh, no. So, like, no, we don't. They didn't even like the vampire thing. They just, Vince Russo, he liked it. He saw it as a way to shuttle Edge in. give him somewhere. And then, but Bruce Pritchard finally, he picked up on it. So I get what you're putting down. And I think Tom Pritchard had a lot to do with that. Because Tom was kind of like on the same page with me. Tom Pritchard was really, really cool. And he was a tremendous worker, Tom Pritchard. What an amazing wrestler he was. And so we started the program at Edge, and I just kept saying on him, man, it'd just be really cool. And then it clicked. One day they were like, we're going to put Edge with you. First they had Christian come in, so I had his brother already, and so now you got two little vampire dudes. Like, well, I'm a vampire. They never said if he was a vampire or not, but they said he was Edge's brother. So here we are. I got me and Christian, and then all of a sudden we have a match with Kane, and Edge joins us. Now, I don't know if you remember all this, but if you do, can you actually tell me what the storyline was? Because I have no idea. They never once said. I don't know if Raymond, do you know? You're not going to talk to me today? You don't know? So they were like, oh, they're brothers from a village, or they were this, or there was something. But they never, ever said what our beef was. It's the only storyline that I don't know. And the Attitude Era that was never explained. It was just, they're the Brood. But the Brood thing came along because I was a huge, huge fan of the Lost Boys. And I thought a cool group of vampires, being a fan of the Freebirds, I thought the Brood could be like this modern day Freebirds, but vampires, And so it started out with me first, but I just kept wearing them down. I wanted this really, really cool group of vampires. And then they kind of, Bruce Pritchard, Tom Pritchard, he caught on it, and Vince Russo. Now, Vince McMahon was never down with this. He was never down with the vampire thing or the Brood stuff or anything. And I don't think it was supposed to get over the way it was. Again, it was just supposed to be a shuttle for Edge, because they came to me from day one and said they knew Edge was their guy, not Christian, who I'm proud of Christian because he could put a match together better than 90% of the people in pro wrestling back then, now, and probably on. He was tremendous. He doesn't get the credit he gets on the quality match that he can put together and get the best out of everybody and still get his shit in, because he's always got to get his shit in. He'll get his stuff in no matter what. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's great because he does it in the right way. So, so where were we? So, they wanted to strap. Edge was the guy. That was the dude, and it's proven right. He's gone on. Hell, he's in the Hall of Fame now, right? Like, I mean, super proud of him. He was like quickly in there, I believe, the WWE Hall of Fame and stuff. But Edge just tremendous. So that was the right call on their part. They saw talent. They saw a good-looking guy, and he's a tremendous human being. Let me tell you, like Adam is like, he's a genuine, whatever word I'm trying to spit out. He's just a good damn person, man. He is one good human being. And I loved him and his mom. I miss his mom dearly. I still talk to him. He's a great dude. So the Brood came along we're supposed to shuttle Edge in, and then I kept wearing on him about these cool vampires and stuff. So they put the three of us together with Kane one time, and the rest is history. We weren't supposed to get over. It was just supposed to be a transition thing to move Edge on and stuff like that. But it carried on and went so on and so on. Now, speaking of that, when I did the ENC podcast with them, I think Adam asked me, he goes, why do you think they broke us up? And I had to explain to him why they broke the Brood up, because it gets so much momentum, like the Brood was accidental. It was just supposed to be a transitional thing. But then here it is, the Brood, it gets over, and it wasn't supposed to get over. It catches like fire. And Jim Cornette would like push it. He would compare us to the Freebirds and stuff like that, and that's tremendous because you got an old school thinking mentality with some like vampire stuff, right? Only Jerry Lawler used to think about mummies and vampires and stuff, but now you got Cornette, who's very traditional in pro wrestling and looking out for it. Here he's finding it and seeing the positives into it, and he's plugging, they're like the modern day Freebirds and push on and all that. So. Here it is. This thing's just growing like wildfire, and then they put us with the Then all of a sudden we were in the corporate ministry. So I think that was the slowest down, contain us. Right? They put us in the ministry with the Undertaker, and I can remember coming out on the stage. Well, when they put us all together, I told Adam, I said, we're not going to last much longer. He goes, what do you mean, buddy? I go, trust me, we're not going to last much longer. Then we come out there, and I remember the ministry used to line up on the stage, and we were at the far left. I can't remember what arena it was, but we were far left sitting there, and people were like, ooh, because, the ministry was supposed to have all this heat, and then all of a sudden you start hearing, Brood, 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 Brood. Then the whole building just started chanting Brood. And I leaned over the edge. I remember leaning over to him and going, "We're done." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "We're done." It was about a week, maybe 2 weeks later. They said, "We're going to feud you with the ministry." He looked, and I go, "Adam, the Brood's done, man. It's done." He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "It's done. Like, just trust me." And then soon we feuded with the ministry. And then shortly after that, they said, "You know what, David? This was Vince McMahon. You're the Brood." So, and next thing you know, they split the Brood up, and then I was with the new Brood with Matt Hardy, which I mentioned earlier, and Jeff Hardy became the new Brood. We feuded them, and then eventually an injury that broke my neck took me out of that everything. So, but they were well on to just splitting that Brood thing up, and then Adam, like this long story, like I get to this point is he goes, he couldn't understand why they broke us up. So I had to say to him, when you go to conventions and you do public signings and stuff, outside or inside like WWE, what is the first thing people ask you about? He goes, "The Brood, always." I go, "Exactly. The music, the Brood, the entrance, all that." I go, "How long was the Brood together, Adam?" I don't know. It's like 8 months. He goes, "Really? It seemed longer." I go, 8 months. So today, after all your runs, being a world champion and the things you've done in WWE and all the history you put down, one of the first things they ask you about is the Brood stuff. Imagine if you stayed it any longer. Would there have been an Edge? Would there have been a rated R superstar? Or would it just been somebody from the Brood? You got to think about that. And he goes, "I never thought of it like that." And it's true. They just really it caught on. It was so strong, and it was going to consume everybody. Now, granted, I'm grateful for it because I'm here. I don't know how many years later off TV. I'm still blessed to wrestle every weekend, get out there and do what I love, and the music, the entrance, the whole thing. What I thought was like, because I actually wanted to make that decision to stay in All Japan. I really did. Luna talked me into it, but it just, things just happen for reasons, and I'm carrying it. I'm still, I got slam buddies and all kinds of other stuff, and that white puffy shirt that I hated so much. I wasn't a big fan of the white puffy shirt. I wanted to get out of it, but that it was just a memorable thing, and the entrance with the fire and the music and Adam, Edge, and Christian. It was just it was a perfect combination of everything being in the right place at the right time and timing, and there you go. Now, that's a long story short to get to the Brood, right? So there you go. So, okay, so all that started out of the AEW, starting out to watch AEW, which I think I started out talking about Miro, Rusev. Miro, he gets mad when I say Rusev because he's moving forward in the past. So Rusev's in the past. So Miro, it's Miroslav Miro, the best man. So, I was super happy. Last night I was in at Magic City, and I was worried because Miro, he asked me to look out for a fellow Bulgarian that comes from either his village or just outside of his village. Now Bulgaria, I have town and villages. There's no like super major cities. I'm not sure. I don't know. But one day I'm gonna take a trip over there. But I was really grateful. Well, not grateful, but I was happy to see Methodi show up. Meadow, we call him Meadow because Methodi is really hard to pronounce. I don't know, I call it Toad or something. He says it's like French, Methodi. So I was super happy to see him show up because I was over there. I've been over there a week and he didn't come the first week. So I go I don't want to say like I'm the Piper and your students follow you, but like he's like family. Like I special interest in him. I took him to his first Thanksgiving, this and that, and he reminds me so much of Miro when I first met him. So like I was grateful. And I keep saying grateful, but I guess I was grateful in my own way. I was just happy that he came over because I don't know what he was thinking. I think he was a little bit confused. I think he was thinking about moving to Nashville with Miro and maybe going there. But he chose to stay for a little while and ride it out with me. So like I'm happy, super stoked because he reminds me so much of the hard work, like his ethics. That the word? Like that of. And just his standard. I don't want to say gold seal. It's the gold seal like Shelton Benjamin, but like he's just just the hard work put in, like the hard work and dedication put in for that. And like, I'll give you a quick story of that with like Miro. I keep wanting to say Rusev, but I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. Miro. He's the TNT champion now. He's in AEW. He's doing great. So Miro, first met him, it was at Knox Pro with Rikishi and the Black Pearl out there, the Samoans of the Samoan dynasty. I met him. He came in, and this guy is the epitome of dedication and hard work. Miro. He would. He didn't. Sometimes I know I did some thing somewhere one time where I said he was living in his car, but I never, ever, ever, ever said he was living in his car. I would say he would sleep in his car in between jobs just so he wouldn't miss a class. So this guy, Miro, he's so dedicated. He'd come in. We had morning and night classes at Knox Pro in California. So we did a morning class and a night class. So I basically would get up in the morning, and the school was walking distance. The training facility was walking distance from my place. So I would walk to get morning cardio in. I would train a morning class, walk to a gym, 24-hour fitness, train, and walk back to the class. And then Miro, he was in both those classes. But in between all that, he was like literally bouncing or driving a taxi at night. And then he was delivering food on like lunch shifts and stuff like that. So he would do the morning class. So he would work all night, pull in there, like get an hour nap in the car, train. And I mean, when I trained then, I was like some boot camp stuff. I mean, I was on, you're injured, you're hurt. If you're hurt, get up. If you're injured, go to the doctors and get a note. Come on. Like, I've evolved as a trainer now. I realize that every student, every person, every girl and guy, gal and guy, lady and gentleman, whatever, however you want to say it, but every trainee is different, and just some don't respond to like that commando style. But he did, and so he would work. This is a guy that would work all night. He came from another country. His dream was to be a wrestler. He left Bulgaria to come here to be a wrestler, and Metodi is the same thing. Meto's the same thing, the same as Miro. He left Bulgaria. I think Hulk Hogan he liked or something. He left Bulgaria and came to the United States to become a pro wrestler. Imagine that. You're in this other country, barely have TVs probably. I don't know. Don't get mad at me, Bulgaria, if that's not the case. You must have had it because you're watching wrestling. But you come all the way, you're going to gamble on you. He bet on himself. He believed in himself. He left Bulgaria, and he came to the United States to become a professional wrestler. Look at him now. And that didn't come because he was being lazy. That didn't come because he wasn't dedicated. No, it's the opposite. He was a workhorse, and he was super dedicated, and he was super focused. So he would work all night, whether he was bouncing or driving a taxi. Then he would get to that class and catch an hour nap in the morning, train that class. Then he would run out and deliver food on lunch hours and stuff. Still find time to hit a gym, and then make the nighttime class, and then go back out and either drive a taxi, or he would bounce at night. And that is dedication, and that's why I am super, super proud of him. And I'm so proud when I see that, when I watched this match with the Dark Order, I could see that foundation and the basics in him, and I was proud. And like that stomp before he goes in the thing, he's a lot of people think wrestling is about, you have to be 100 mile an hour. This is maybe a lesson towards like other wrestlers and stuff like that. It's not about being fast. It's like being in the right place at the right time. No wasted movement. And sometimes they'll say less is more. Other people like the Samoans will say less is best. I've always said less is more. All the same thing, but really, it just comes down to being in the right place at the right time. So when I was watching this match with Dark Order, I see that where he was just miles ahead, but not by being fast. He just knew his way around the ring. And I was super proud of him because I know how hard he worked to become the professional wrestler, the human being he is, and the man he is today. And I'm super, super proud of him. So, Miro, good on you, man. Keep kicking ass, dude. I'm super, super proud of you. Keep rocking. So again, man, just super, super proud of him. And then, I was like, I mix his name up constantly. First as I met him, he was Miro. Then he was Rusev, and now he's Miro again. Well, actually, it was Miroslav when I met him, but he always just said Miro. Miro, Rusev, Miro. I try to keep track of all these brands of wrestling, for a while there, when I was actively wrestling and when I was coming in, it was the Attitude Era, and you had like the Monday Night Wars, and it was these huge brands. And then then it became just all like WWE for a while, and a little bit of salt and pepper with TNA and like maybe Ring of Honor or something like that. But now wrestling is gotten back to another point, or wrestling, pro wrestling entertainment, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it pro wrestling. I know it gets old, but I keep saying it. But now you got like all this content out there. You got SmackDown, NXT, the Raw brand. You got AEW, Dynamite. You got AEW Dark. You got AEW Elite Matches, I think. I can't keep track of it. Now, you got to forgive me because I'm not going to come on here and I can't talk a lot of stuff in my opinion either way, because I'm really trying to catch up on everything, and there's so much stuff out there to watch. All right, so when I'm watching wrestling now with WWE, AEW, and all the other brands going on, I point out basics and foundations when I was talking about Miro, right? And how proud I was in that match and where he was and stuff. So the difference that I see is like in WWF and WCW, when it was in the prime of the Monday Night Wars and stuff, is all the wrestlers had like 20 years experience. Very few of us were like 5 years in, get a job, unless they were like a big monster and stuff. Now, it's such a demand for wrestlers and everything's so hot again that I think people are on TV without the territorial experience. Like going into like WWF and WCW back in the day, there was territories prior. There was Memphis, Stampede. And a lot of those guys worked all that, even though they were faded out by like the late 90s or late 80s. The late 80s, they were faded out and it became like, WWF and then NWA. But the guys had that experience. They were seasoned on the road. They learned. They had a feel for crowds. They knew what to do. It was all feel. Nobody guessed. It was action, reaction, action, reaction. Now, wrestling, when I'm watching it, this current day product, and there's so much content out there, and there's so much stuff to watch. And when I watch it, it's just I feel kind of bad. Like, I feel bad for the current wrestlers because they weren't able to get that experience before they get in front of a camera and be able to perform. I just wish that the young women and kids today could have experienced like there. I started in '87 and I caught the tail end of that stuff, but I was so blessed to be able to go work 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week in Memphis and Puerto Rico and work all these guys that have been working 20 and 30 years prior to that and learn under them and learn what to do in certain situations and how to react. Like I said, it's action, reaction. And I just feel really, really bad that they never got that, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. It's just where things are today. It's a video game generation. You can go in there and if you watch video games, a little 5'6" girl could come in there and kill 6 squad soldiers or something, like with ninja moves and stuff like that. So this is what this generation grows up with. But this is also where when I'm watching wrestling, it seems that video games and stuff have an influence on what wrestling is now. Granted, the wrestlers aren't 6 foot. Like when I started out in wrestling, I was 6'2", 220 pounds. They told me, you're going to be a junior heavyweight. That's it. You're going to be lucky to get past that or do anything besides getting your butt kicked, because everybody was monsters. Now, with the unfortunate like the dark side of the ring stuff with all the drugs and the negative things, one positive has come out of that, and that's drug testing. So people should hopefully live longer, but the size of the wrestlers have changed. And that's not just because of the drug testing, but it's because of that. It's a video game generation too. So you don't have to, when you're growing up playing these video games and stuff, and I don't play them, I'm guilty. I had an Atari. I played Pong. That was Pong and Space Invaders, I think. And then when I went to the arcade, it was Centipede. So it wasn't very complicated for me. It was Centipede and the pinball machine. So it really wasn't into the video games now, but I do have kids and I have grandkids and I'm around a lot. And the students I train now, they're like in between stuff in their cars or in the locker rooms, they're playing video games and stuff. So that is a very strong influence, I believe, in today's wrestling. So and how things have come together. So with the size changing, they're more acrobatic, they're more mobile. When just a few would do that back in my day, back in like The Attitude Era, everybody worked really, really hard and they tried to out-top each other. I'm not saying it was anything like that. They were doing crazy stuff they shouldn't have been doing too, but now it's become more acrobatic and gymnast-like, and the sizes have changed and stuff, and then the mentality of things have changed. But I just wish, what I'm getting to is, I just wish that these guys could have had the pleasure. And it might not have felt like a pleasure when I was doing it, but I'm so grateful for it because it was all learning lessons, just to work every night and not to go in there. And the only thing you knew is like who was going to win or lose. You like, hey, I'd work Jerry Lawler. I don't think he's ever even called the finish to me before the match. I'd just go out there, King, and I was sitting there like waiting. King, and he goes, yeah, kid. And then he'd go off and watch like a Cleveland Brown game or something on a Monday night. We're in the Coliseum. I'm like, because I would watch, like, I trained in the dungeon and trained with Boris Malenko. Then I covered it before. Then I trained in the dungeon and then went off in Sika by this time. I hadn't gone off in Sika yet, but I had been in the dungeon by this time, which is a very fast style, and I've been to Japan, so I like that thing. So I had to, when I went back to Memphis, I had to learn how to like slow it down and trust my instincts and go back to action, reaction, and feel, not guessing, feeling what's going on with the crowd, the building itself, and the person I'm working. So I just think they really, really missed out on something super special. And when I'm watching the shows and stuff like that, that's what I'm talking about when I say, when I say a feel, a lot of times I go, man, they really need to feel things, but they didn't really get a chance. They just kind of throw it in the fire and they're trying to figure it out. So you can't point fingers at them and go, oh, that was like whatever, and put this harsh opinion on them. I mean, you can have your opinion. Everybody has an opinion, and you might not necessarily agree with everybody's opinions, but you got to remember this too, everybody has an opinion and everybody has an asshole. Sometimes assholes have opinions, and it's what it is, you get through it. But I love everything. So, with that being said, a lot of people ask me, what's your favorite brand that's out? Is it NXT? Is it AEW? Is Dynamite? Or is it The Dark? Ring of Honor or TNA or whatever's going on there. I'm going to say that I'm not current in the last 3 months. I'm trying to catch back up. But prior to that 3 months, like right in the middle of COVID or whatever, the pandemic and everything, I'm going to go with, I'm going to, believe it or not, this might shock a lot of you, because it didn't make a lot of sense either, but I really liked MLW. I liked MLW. And it's, maybe a little bit because I trained Jacob Fatu, maybe, but no, I just really like it because I would see a lot of guys that I worked out there currently on the indies and all getting a chance, and they're all hungry and they're all trying to prove something where they all kind of had an equal shot at something where WWE, it's a food chain, there's a system there. And, AEW, it's kind of like you look at it and you go, well, there's somebody's friends and this one's friends. So I don't know. It seemed like MLW had like more of a fighting chance to prove something that you belong there, and this and this and that. Not that AEW is bad, and not that I don't agree with the WWE stuff, but I think my favorite brand, I got to say, right now, and it could change tomorrow as I'm watching all this current stuff, it could absolutely change, but I like MLW. Wow, with all that being said, I sure can ramble. I didn't think I could ramble a lot, and time starts flying by. We're going to have to get to Pandora's Box here in a minute, which is really cool because Pandora's Box is a thing where we do, random. My producer just goes and looks. People send in, so please send in your Q&A, whatever you want to call it. You send in your questions, and I'll try to answer them. They're randomly picked out of a box. So we're talking about all those basics and feeling bad that people weren't able to experience, like territories, this and this and that. Now, if you're looking to get into wrestling and stuff like that, you want to research your schools and your trainers and stuff like that. It's very important because like there's so many people out there that have schools like that they really. I'm not saying you had to be a WWE superstar or top of your game in NWA, and because it's stuff like that to be a trainer. But it should have been currently like and still involved in wrestling and throughout all the eras and years. You can only be 10 years in, but you should research that. Like myself, I never really had a great run, but I was consistent in wrestling since '87, in different territories. Been there, done that. Not saying I did it well. But I made a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes would help me pass along knowledge. And with all that being said, so research your schools. But with that being said, I think wrestling schools, and I'm a big believer in this, because you got Al Snow. Tremendous. You got Lodi. Lodi, believe it or not, I just seen Arn Anderson's son come on AEW, and Lodi. I believe he was training with Lodi. I don't know if you remember Lodi and Lenny from the Flock and stuff like that. But he's tremendous. Got a tremendous mind for wrestling. But I really think, and I'm not saying this because I had a school or I'm trying to do this, but I really believe wrestling schools should be monitored, I don't want to say unionized, but I really believe that they should be checked for license, insurance, and have proper trainings and proper facilities, and not just fly-by-night things. Although, I trained with, I started with Global, which was a big company. I ended up in the backyard, but I was training with Boris Smolenko, who's been around the block and then some, so I learned. But I just think there's so many wrestling schools out there. Now I'm talking to all the young ladies and gentlemen that are thinking about getting into this industry. I think you should just, be careful. And I really think these schools should be monitored and unionized or something, whatever it is, because you got great places like Al Snow has got TV, and going on. He's really doing great things. He's been there, done that. And that's a tremendous place if you're in the Ohio Valley area in Kentucky or stuff like that. But these schools should really, really, really it just drives me crazy when I see people take advantage of people and just take their money, and then they, just really don't teach them anything. They go out there and they have no basics, no foundations. They get out there, they're running the ropes, oh my goodness, I've seen people running the ropes in their third training session in some places. Where I think how I structure a school, it's you'll spend 3 weeks on pads, have a 6 the last school I was at, we had 3 rings. 2 rings, actually. 2 rings. Well, 3 rings at the end, but there was 2 rings. Well, I'm going to go off a 2-ring structure. We could even go off a 1-ring structure, but you got a rolling area. So you can spend from 3 weeks to 3 months on that floor, just learning your rolls, this and that. Then we'd move into a 16-foot ring. And you would spend another couple months learning how to take your falls and apply the rolls in there, and the bumps and all the things that's going to keep you safe. The only difference between me and some other people was that I was trained well with my basics to bump. So I'm here 34 years later telling people what to do and how to do it and showing them, because I learned it the right way too. So my body survived. And here, yes, I've had some broken necks and this and this and that. But I still get in there and I'll bump every night of the week, and I'm still wrestling on weekends because of that foundation. So when we teach that, then we move up if you mastered all that, you mastered the headlocks, the wing locks, the top wrist locks, the front face, devil legs, single legs, firemen's, double wrist lock takeovers. You master all that, and you learn to be able to do a 20-minute match right there without even breaking contact and tell a story. Then you take them to an 18-foot or a 20-foot ring. Well, we had an 18-foot ring. And then I would teach you ropes, right? You get in there and you learn the ropes. And then you would learn putting some stuff together. And then by then you had already had the confidence because you know how to wrestle. So that's all the gravy. And then boom. So when people come in to the schools I'm running, I say, you give me an extra 6 months, I'll save you 6 months on your career. And I'm not saying that cocky. I just want them to be patient and trust the process. And it's a great process. So, with all that being said and everything, and just really research your wrestling schools. They should be monetized and not be able to take advantage of people out there, but they're not. So being that they're not, ladies and gentlemen, you do your own research, and if you have to drive an extra hour, then drive that extra hour. It's going to be worth the training. Trust me, even if it's an extra 2 hours. I have students that were driving 5 hours from Jacksonville. So really, really be careful in your choices and make some wise choices. So, okay, done with my salty rants. That's the old salty guy being salty, but it's not. It's really, it's just me really trying to look out for wrestling and you. I want wrestling to be better. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad right now, but I want everybody to be good. I want everybody to understand it. I want everybody to love what they're doing and to know why they're doing it, when they're doing it, and how to do it. So, all right, enough of that. You know what? I'm going to Pandora's box. Because I'm going to start rambling and I'm going to start sounding like some old, salty guy. So I'm going to get rid of myself here. I'm going to put them down. You notice I hold it like a security blanket because like I'm so nervous trying to get through this. I'm just constantly clenching that and everything. And, oh, God, I don't know where this journey is going to take us. I feel like I'm searching for stuff to talk about and I'm forcing stuff on you. But when I sit back and think, I got like the England years, my UK years. I could spend 5 months alone just talking about Ireland tours and the amazing people, Big Brody Steele, Spitty, Frankie Sloan, all the UK guys, James Mason, tremendous workers. And then like the young ones that are still coming up, like Dean Allmark, and then there was like a tremendous guy, Robbie Dynamite, Robbie Brookside, who's currently a trainer in the PC and stuff like that, or I think he's in there. Maybe he's back over in the UK. I'm not sure where everything shut down after the pandemic. But I got so much stuff to talk about, but I don't get on here and I just feel like square peg round hole, and I'm just jamming stuff at you. So I apologize. As this grows, I will find a flow, and it will be easier on you to listen to or watch. All right, so we're gonna move on. I'm gonna get rid of me over here, and we go to Pandora's box. Hopefully Raymond didn't put a lot of questions in there, but we'll find out what's going on. So it's the box, right? So, no, I can't play bongos, but we're going to open it up. All right. See, last time I noticed, I don't mind listening to myself, but when I got to look at myself and I bend over looking at that thing, like 50 chins. So now I got to try to read this up high. So, you shot the angle on me. What we got here? This is from Mark Kupanik, I think, on Instagram. Mark, if I said it wrong, I'm sorry. What was it like to wrestle in Japan? Well, I love Japan. I'll put that over there so I don't reread it. Japan. My first trip, I didn't know what to expect. I had been to Stampede, and it didn't last. It wasn't there very long before I came home, but it was very much a Japan style. But a lot of people go. You end up going to smaller companies. Well, you ended up going to All Japan for the first time to go to Japan. It was like the biggest company. There was New Japan and All Japan, and it was like the Attitude Era in its prime. It was like WWF against WCW, but these guys were just beasts and monsters. Kawada, Masawa, Hansen and Spivey, Williams and Gordy, Crawford and Furnace. These are all people that I was getting in the ring with. I just turned 19 years old, so I was terrified. I remember we got booked. I'm like, really? I was like, deep down inside, I was like, never thinking would ever get booked there. But it was the Blackhearts character and Jimmy Suzuki, and actually Luna was managed at the time. She helped liaison that with Jimmy Suzuki and stuff, and Tokyo Joe from Calgary. He was a New Japan guy, but he put us in touch with Jimmy Suzuki and stuff. So, everything fell into the right places at the right times. And here we go. They're like, yeah, you're going to Japan in like a month. I'm like, what? So that month went like that because I was out running like 5 miles in the morning, 5 miles a night, trying to get my cardio up because if it was anything like Stampede was, it's like go. So I'm nervous. And it's a super long flight over there. So I get on the plane. I strap in. I didn't sleep or wink. I'm running 50, 100 scenarios through my head. That 12, 13-hour, 8-hour, whatever that flight was, we flew to California, then California to Japan. It was in a blink of an eye. It just blew by because I was just so nervous. I didn't know what to expect to get there. So then we get there, and you remember, I think it just turned 19 years old. And I think we were working. We got in. We had a couple nights in. Then we drew the Killer Bees. And I thought, oh, great. Jim Brunzell and B. Brian Blair. B. Brian Blair. He's still very currently involved in the wrestling with the Cauliflower Year Club, and I think he might have some radio shows and stuff too. But tremendous guy and everything. But we're kids, so I'm thinking, all right, it's the Killer Bees. They're like, good. I'm not going to get my head kicked off or destroyed or anything. But you got to remember, we have no experience, so if this is 89, I started in 87. That's 2 years. 2 years, really? With 2 years, do you think you belong in a company that guys have worked 20 and 30 years to be on top in, and you're coming in and getting a push? Well, no, you don't. But you made the best of it, and you learned on the fly. So we go in, and I'm thinking we're good with the Killer Bees. Everything's going all right, and then I go to give a clothesline. It was actually the left arm. When we trained, a lot of times they trained us everything left, but now it's like right, left, whatever your stronger side is. It doesn't matter now. Everything evolves. It changes a little bit. So, but I went to go throw a clothesline, and I guess I was coming in really aggressive, but he pulled one of those old-timer tricks and threw the shoulder up. Man, I tore my rotator cuff like the third night in on a 3-week tour in Japan. And now later on these tours, trust me, we're facing Masawa, Kawada, Gordy, and Williams. You don't want to start the tour off with a torn rotator cuff. But I didn't know what to do. I was too young, too young. I was a drinker and stuff like that back then, but I was scared to go to the bars to drink. So then I realized, I saw that the vending machines would sell beer in it. So I didn't care what floor I was on, whether it was like the 10th floor or the 15th floor or whatever. I'd get 2 pillowcases. So I would run down. One pillowcase was for ice. In the other pillowcase, I would just buy all the beer out of the vending machine, and I was sneaking around because I didn't realize, the Japanese were too nice to even ask you about like your ID or anything. So I didn't go out. I just assumed you couldn't. So I was like thinking I was getting away with stuff. I was like buying all this beer out of the vending machine, which I thought was amazing. I got beer in a vending machine. Like, wow. Little did I know the whole world would come to probably in Colorado, you could probably buy marijuana in a vending machine now, and the world has changed so much. But in Japan, you could get beer in a vending machine. So I would get one pillowcase, I just fill it up full of ice, the other one, and I get up there and dump the ice in, I put the beer, and then I had a little Ziploc, and I would just keep ice in his shoulder every night and cry. What am I doing here? Why am I here? I don't belong here. But I didn't do it in front of anybody. I didn't complain. I didn't do nothing. And then the next night, the same thing, and the next night, eventually, like a week and a half in, and I called Luna. We weren't together then. We were just friends. I go, my shoulder. She goes, how's it going? I go, I want to go home. They're killing us. Nobody likes us. It was hard. And you got to remember, like, we're young kids working with killers, elite squad assassins. These guys were just bad mofos, man. And they were mad bad mofos because we didn't belong there, and we were getting top dollar and getting a push. And every right, we had to earn our stripes. And wrestling is much different than it is now. They kicked your ass back then. Don't get it twisted. You got your ass kicked back then. You didn't belong there. They let you know that. They let you know that through an ass whooping. So taking a beating over there. So I'm crying to her. And she's, why don't you get out of your room? I'm like, I can't go anywhere. Like, I just drink in her. She goes, they won't ID you there in Japan. They're too nice to ID you. They're too polite. I go, what do you mean? So like, like 3 weeks in, I'm not sure. Like, it was a 3-week, or maybe it was a 4-week tour, that first one, but it was good. Maybe it was 2 weeks in. I'm not sure exactly. But then I realized I could go out. And then as I went out, I would sneak out every night. And I remember Dan Crawford, Phil LaFleur, I don't know if he was part of the Cam-Am. He goes, hey, Dave, you going out tonight? No, because like nobody talked to us. Like they didn't like us, we didn't belong there. No. And I think he knew. I think he knew that I was sneaking out. I think they all knew that I was. They probably heard me crying through those thin walls. You can hear everything through those walls. They probably heard me go, I don't belong here, crying to myself, talking to myself. But I said, no, I'm gonna go to my room. And then, like later that night, I was out and I was wide open. I wasn't feeling any pain because I had enough like sake and Sapporo beer in me and stuff. And then I ran into him. He goes, you mother, and he jumped and he splashed the car. And then life got easier from there because that was like my that bridging the gap kind of moment, crossing the boom there. So now I had a buddy. Now, not a buddy, but I had a drinking buddy. So somebody I could relate to, and it started smarting me up to what's going on and stuff. So, and it was the end of the tour. Then the second tour back, he was on it. So I had somebody to talk to, and then Abdullah the Butcher. A lot of people say what they want about him, but he took me under the wing. He took me under his wing, taught me how to go out and work with sponsors and stuff like that. So then it became the amazing experience. Now Japan is my absolute favorite place. I haven't been back since '98 when WWF hired me on that tour for All Japan. But if you add up all the trips, I'm not sure. I've done as the Black Hearts originally in All Japan. The first two, I wasn't the third one. We covered that already on episode 1. And then I went back as Vampire Warrior and also the Black Hearts with Barry Houston, Todd Passmore. And so I would do tours off and on. So, man, I can't tell you the exact date because I don't want to fib to you or anything, or amount, but I'm guessing I've probably done 15, 16 tours in Japan, only the first one I cried on. The rest were just glorious. I love Japan. Love it. Miss it. Would love to go back there one more time, but I'd have to get in a little bit better shape. Like, Japan's the only place you can go wrestle and only say sorry once if you mean it. You know, like you just go. You go out there, you do your job. As long as you work hard and you put 100% in. I don't know if it's changed or not, but that's when I was going. If you did something wrong, it was really you said sorry once and you moved on. You got on the bus. You know, if you drank, you had a beer. If not, you got on the bus, you put your headphones on, and you made the next town. Life was good. I love Japan. I learned that first tour though. It was defining. And then, but amongst that first tour is when I did learn that I always and destined to be a pro wrestler. And that's all that I'm gonna ever do. And I love Japan. I know that was a long-winded story. I got a lot of long-winded stuff, but I love Japan. So we're gonna move on back to Pandora's Box. So thank you, Mark. I believe it was Mark that asked me that because I talked so long I forgot. But like, here we go again. He didn't put too many questions in there today. I only see like 20, but we're going to pull a couple out so no time's cooking short here. Shuri Sharma. What is it? I'm not sure what that says on Instagram. But whatever, man. What's up? Like, what do you think about Eddie Guerrero? What do I think about Eddie Guerrero? There's very few dudes that I told on the road that I loved, and Eddie Guerrero was one of them, and I meant that. He's an amazing, amazing human being. I would trust him with my life, Eddie Guerrero, and I miss him dearly, dearly. I couldn't tell you how much I miss Eddie Guerrero and how much I respected Eddie Guerrero and how much I learned from him. I traveled with him and Chris Benoit like for about 8 months before I broke my neck. And the stuff I learned under the two of them in that car, I thought, like, I didn't think I knew everything, but I thought I had stuff dialed in. They were on a whole other level of professional athlete and professional wrestler and stuff. And I miss him truly today so much. I miss him so much. I know Vicky Guerrero's reached out to me to do something for her, but I miss Eddie so much. I don't know if I would be able to handle it. But I miss him. I think he's amazing, and he's missed every day. Okay, so that's all I'm gonna say about Eddie. All right. Let me go on. I think we got time. We got one more. Time good. All right. Check out Raymond, dude. He stays quiet over there. I wish he would talk to me because what I do realize I need about the show is I don't like listening to myself talk for an hour and a half or whatever the deal is. I need somebody to talk to. So I'm going to be looking for a co-host here soon or somebody to pop in and out and then start trying to figure out guests because these first few, he ensures me that I should do by myself to get everybody to know, just get the show, work some stuff out and iron it out and get a flow and everything and then add something in. So have no fear. You won't have to listen to me straight hour and a half. We'll have another voice in here sooner than later. Because he certainly isn't saying nothing over there behind the cameras and stuff. I just hear him giggle once in a while, but that's it. This is from Jason Alvarez, I think, from Facebook. What's the thoughts of the Big Show and Mark Henry signing with AEW, and do you have any stories from working with them? Okay. What do I think about it? Well, I think Mark Henry, I trained at Redcon gym, and all the time they always have the Arnold Classics and different strongman stuff up there, and I always see Mark Henry in there. So he's a big man. He's a big, strong dude. Big Show is a big mofo, too, and a strong dude. So you got these two giant guys, but they're doing commentary. So how the world spins, we were talking about this earlier, wrestling and the sizes have changed and this and this and that. And I'm not, by no means am I saying these guys are doing anything illegal. They are just big human beings. They're big creatures. So I say, I'm trying to picture watching them watch a 5'11" or let's just say 600. Let's be kind and put everybody in at 6 foot, but they're not. They're like 5'11" and 5'8", some of them. Let's be kind and say they're 180 pounds, but some of them are probably 150 pounds. No offense, Jungle Boy. I love you, dude. I remember when I met Jungle Boy, I went in and I was in a show. It's a Marcus Max promotion, APW out there. So I was in California, and I went in and I seen him and I looked at him. I said, "You're like a Luke Perry looking mofo," you know. Like he just looked down. I go, "What's wrong, man?" He goes, "That's my dad," you know. That was a big, of course, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, right? 90120. So everybody knows who Luke Perry is. At least my age did, you know. So where was I going? Mark. So yeah. So like there are a lot of guys that, like, no offense, he's a smaller guy, right? But that. So then you got. So let's just put him there or Marco Stunt, right? Let's just take two of them. Two Marco Stunt. Yeah. Let's put Mark Henry and Big Show next to him. Let's see if let's just assume they do an interview. How's that work? do they hold the and I love, don't get me wrong, man. Marco's a great dude, man. Him and his little brother, or older brother. I don't know which one's older, but the two brothers, I met their parents. Great guys. And their family's great. Parents are supportive of everything in wrestling. So I met them at one of the WrestleMania shows. I don't know if it was Blackcraft or Game Changers. One of those shows that Marco about got killed on. Every week you see him getting beat up. It's just like you almost feel like you need to call the police or something because it's like this abuse going on or something. But picture that, these two big giant monsters and these two little dudes. It's really hard to wrap my head around. Mark Henry, I don't know what's going on. He was doing that SWE Fury. I was out there. I don't know what shook down or what went down there, but next thing you know, he pops up in AEW. What I can tell you about Mark Henry, and I can tell you, Paul, the Big Show is a nice guy, and I've spent some time around him, but what I can tell you about Mark Henry is he loves wrestling. He loves professional wrestling. Maybe he didn't come into it the way other people came into it, you know, the world's strongest man and stuff. Great contract, jolted into things, learned on the job. But he does have a passion, and he has a passion for the youth coming in, and not just wrestling, but just youth in America, everywhere. And like, so like when now he's in AEW, but prior to that, I would talk to him and say, "Hey, you want to come in for a show?" But he goes, "Well, I would like to come in, but I want to go talk to some like pals and youth groups and different things like that." So we always wanted to do community stuff and work with the young ladies and gentlemen coming up in the world and coming up in this industry. So I can say he has an amazing heart towards the youth of America, and that he really, all his intentions are good. So I'm super glad that he's there, and I hope that people in the AEW talent and in the AEW the offices and the higher up anarchs take some advice from them. They've been around the block and back, and they've seen some things, so they can offer a lot of great things. But if you're a young lady or gentleman, go to them, ask them some questions while they're there. Take advantage. They are just a fountain of knowledge because they've been around the block and back again. They have survived the war machine. They have survived that vicious cycle of pro wrestling, and yeah, man. So no, what do I think of that? I think it's awesome. You know, I guess their wrestling years have come to an end, and now they've gone to the other end. It just seems really, I don't want to say bizarre. If you like can picture him next to Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy, you know how big these guys are. And that kind of that. But if you can get past that, I don't know. I gotta listen. I haven't listened to either's commentary yet. I don't know if he's done anything. I'm not sure with Mark Henry. I believe he's a commentator, right? So I'm looking forward to it because I am going to catch up. Do not worry. Have no fear. I will educate myself, and I'll give you some of my opinions as we roll on into the future. All right. So, yeah, that's what I think about Big Show and Mark Henry being AEW. I know it was a long-winded question, but we're going to wrap that up. We're going to wrap Pandora's box up here. I'm going to put it back over here, and I want to say that's pretty much it for episode 2 with FANGIN and BANGIN Gangrel. Or Gangrel. Can't even say my own name. See, I've been talking too long. I'm stumbling on my words. Gangrel. Okay, you think I could get one word right? It would be my own name, right? So, thank you for everybody that joined. I missed some of the people like Jordana I didn't say hello to earlier. That was on the live feed. Some of the names have come to me. All of you know me. I've taken a lot of chair shots to my head, and that memory comes and goes. But I want to tell everybody thank you. Thank you for being part of this journey. And remember, like Boris Malenko always told me, there's no jewel at the end of the journey. The journey is the jewel. So, thank you very much. And continue this journey on episode 3. Want some, get some. Bad enough, take some. That was FANGIN and BANGIN with Gangrel. Peace out.